Hello everybody and welcome along to One Hub Racing Season 27. This is the 5th episode of the pre-race talk show where we preview the happenings for this evening's races around Belgium, as well as reveal what the weather is going to be, plus interviewing a couple of drivers as well. My name is Jess Ball. Usually I have Colin R. Mason with me in the pre-race show booth, but he's not here today. He will join in the commentary box later, but joining me in the commentary box is Colin's commentary partner, of course, the founder of One Hub Racing, Nick. Nick, how you doing?
I'm really good, thanks, Jess. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here for the pre-race show, and obviously a new feature for this season. I hope everyone's been enjoying them.
Yeah, I think everyone's been enjoying them. I've been enjoying them because it saves me editing quite a few stuff, and it's pretty much a regular thing in our calendar, so we're going to definitely do some more as the season goes on. Of course, Belgium, similar to last week, apart from more corners, but the only similarity is, again, another low downforce track. So I would expect, Nick, quite a few drivers who did well last week to potentially do well this week as well.
Yeah, I guess with the long straights, it's got similar kind of wing characteristics in terms of setups, lots of overtaking opportunities, heavy braking zones, of course, some of them really tricky, like into the chicane, bus stop chicane at the end of the lap. But ultimately, I think there's lots to play for. Shorter amount of laps, of course. You got that twisty middle sector, which everyone loves, which makes Spa such a great track, and lots of engine penalties, which we'll talk about shortly.
Yes, we will talk about engine penalties shortly, but before we talk about and preview all the tiers for tonight, Mark has done us a hot lap as he takes you through the circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, where the drivers will be racing tonight. And listen to this, because he's given you quite a few tips. Welcome along to Spa-Francorchamps near the Ardennes Forest for the Belgian Grand Prix. This lap is sponsored by Sim Racing Setup. As you head turn number 1, the turn-in is crucial as you aim for the right-hand side apex to gain great exit speed. Early acceleration is key as you head to one of the most iconic corner combinations in F1 history. Al Rouge and Radion. You take it flat out in qualifying, take a tight line and avoid the curves too aggressively to prevent spinning. You'll now be going full throttle through the Camel straight, DRS wide open. You'll need to be in 8th gear before you head through this straight. As you head towards that com, use all the track on entry, hit both apex and avoid running too wide to prevent time loss. Aim to the right for this right-hander and you'll be going downhill through Brussels. Brake early and deep and rotate the car smoothly to avoid understeer. Now you've got to be very committed towards no name, full throttle in 5th gear and go right against the gravel. Now you'll be entering one of the most iconic corners of Piron. Shift to 7th gear and aim to the left so you can go full throttle. Don't go full throttle in the race though. As you enter into campus, make sure you get as close to the inside curbing as you possibly can. Take a tight line through there and again aim for the inside as you enter the final corner of sector 2. Now this is the final corner before you go full throttle and full power through the rest of the lap. Blanchiment. Again, low straight line speed is absolutely crucial because if you don't have low straight line speed, you're going to have an absolute boat of a car and there's going to be quite a lot of people that will be overtaking you. As you enter the bus stop chicane, again, a very tight line, brake quite early to gain a great turn in speed and exiting the final corner. That is a lap around the Belgian Grand Prix. So hopefully this gave you an idea of how to race around the Belgian Grand Prix this evening. Thank you to Mark, of course, and it's, of course, sponsored by Sim Racing Setup. So P3 tier, it was a bit of an instant prone tier last week, and Belgium's one of those tracks where we could see quite a few safety cars as well. I think the drivers have got to get their act together, especially quite a few drivers in this tier in terms of incidents.
Yeah, look, I think the P3 tier is, where a lot of us started, for those who've been racing One Hub for a while. So, the drivers are mainly inexperienced, and therefore you're always going to have more incidents and things like that. But ultimately, Monza sometimes does throw up those sorts of races, and Spa, can be similar, but it is wider and you will see gaps start to appear because in that middle sector it is tricky with dirty air, particularly on this game, to keep within a second. So I don't expect to see a repeat of last week where it was a bit messy. I expect it to be a really good race and some new drivers as well.
Yeah, speaking of new drivers, of course, we've got one driver that's moved down from the P2 tier. We've got Rydog racing with us. He's going to join Burjax in the Mercedes. We have also got Miles, which we'll be interviewing in just a moment. He'll be in the Alpine alongside a new driver, which we literally just got 10 minutes ago, and I can't pronounce his name. Mogans, I think his name is. So he's a new pairing at Alpine, and I think that's all the new drivers we got at the moment. I believe we're still waiting for one more, but what a grid of new drivers to race around Belgium. It's going to be difficult, but it is quite a lovely track to make your debut in.
Yeah, it's the P3 tier this season's been a bit of a nightmare for us as a league, and that's not to paint everyone with the same brush, because there obviously are some drivers who've been turning up and racing hard every week, but usually it's the kind of the upper tiers where we end up cycling through some drivers for various reasons, but unfortunately this season the P3 tier has been in the spotlight, and we've pretty much replaced half of the grid. But luckily for us, Jess, we've had loads of drivers on the waiting list interested, and if their pace matches, let's get them in. And we're going to speak to Miles shortly, but Bolton or Moggins, I think is his Discord name, who's just joined. He seems really keen, loves what we do here, from what he's seen. So yeah, it's exciting to get these new drivers in, and I got a new guy lined up for next week. Zontil, who I know has been really keen. He's been on the wait list since the start of the season. He's been really keen to get signed up. So yeah. Yeah,
he couldn't do the last few weeks, of course, which is why he was put further down on the wait list. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he could do as well. I believe he'll be replacing, I think, Truth due to his other commitments.
Promotion.
Yeah. So we hope that Truth will see him next season, but of course he won't be racing with us this season. But in terms of drivers where we expect to do well, there's quite a few actually. Hockey Nye has had a very good season so far. Matthias looking quite strong, about second or third in the championship. I was expecting Jacob to be the gap to be a bit more for Jacob, but there's been some recent races where he just makes a few mistakes.
Yeah, I think we were the first couple of races. Everyone was a bit worried, because he had decent gaps. Was very competitive. But the last 2 weeks, there's been an incident. I think there's an incident in Netherlands, and then last week, a little bit of an incident. Didn't qualify on pole because he wasn't able to improve in quali runs. So ultimately, that's what it's about: consistency. And we have seen in the P3 tier before that a driver has won the championship without finishing first in any of the 12 rounds. So will we see that again? Who knows? Engine penalties and things like that have to come into play. So it's all to play for still in the P3 tier.
It is all to play for. And I'm going to get some predictions. Obviously, you're commentating on this tier, so you know this tier way more than I do. Who's your pick a winner for this tier tonight around Belgium?
Oh, put me on the spot. I'm going to go with Gaza. I think Gaza's got some good pace. This is a track that, he's no stranger to. He's raced at Spa a lot of times, and I think he could do really well here. So, I'm going to pick Gaza.
You're going to pick Gaza? Oh, I think I'm torn between two drivers, actually. But I think there's one driver who I think had a very shocking race last week. I'm going to go for Gaza's teammate, Quinn, because his pace in the low downforce track in Monza, without him taking his engine penalty, was sensational. But it was a shame that he dropped way down the field because he got front wing damage. So that was a bit of a shame there. So my pick is Quinn. So both Red Bulls. And I'm not biased because I'm in Red Bull. No, I think both the Red Bulls are going to be doing well. I am in the process of getting Miles to join the VC so Nick can interview. And Gaza says he likes the optimism. And we also got a bit of Kinney in there as well. Kinney was quite unlucky last week as well.
Yeah, he was. He had that incident down the back straight, which I believe the other driver got penalised for. So, obviously, his first race, I think it's always nice to see that if you're take something to the stewards in the first race, they've acted on it, and the other driver's been penalised. So, lots of penalties carrying over from last week. But the stewards did a good job as always.
Yeah, good on to the stewards because they had to deal with a lot of incidents. And I do believe, Nick, we have our first driver ready to be interviewed. So over to you.
Hello, Miles. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Or good morning for me, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's morning for you, afternoon well, just about afternoon for us. So first of all, big welcome to the league. I'm just going to start off with, obviously, I presume you found the league through SimGrid, but what made you sign up?
Honestly, well, I mean, I've been playing the Formula One games for like probably the past 15, 16 years, but I just never really took the time to look into like a league setting. Obviously, I mostly play a lot of career mode, but I mean, I can't play. I can't beat them at 110 AI, but it's getting close. I'm up in the hundreds now, and I'm like, I wanna have good racing, but I don't want to play against people that are trying to take me out all the time. So mostly, I'm just looking for like a good community of people that I could actually drive with. That their main goal isn't to ruin the race for me. And if I don't know, if I can score some points or win one or two of them, that'd be nice too.
Yeah, definitely. The P3 tier is looking pretty spicy, and Belgium's a track provides plenty of overtaking. We got some drivers taking their engine penalties, which is always nice because then it mixes up the grid a bit for the start of the race. I know obviously you said points, but Spa, is it a track that bodes well for you? Are you happy around here?
Quite happy. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite track. So I was a little bit giddy when I heard that this was race number one. It helps with a little bit of the nerves. But yeah, it's a track here I've driven a lot over the years, and it's easily one of my favorites and one I've come to find that I can keep quite stable on without losing too much focus. Anyways.
Awesome. Jess, over to you.
Thank you. First of all, Miles, I will echo what Nick just said. Welcome to the league. It's great to have you. I enjoyed you in the practice sessions as well. You seem like a really lovely guy. Looking at the rest of the calendar, what would you say is a track that you would think that you would potentially do well this season?
I tend to do quite well in Singapore. It's a track that, ironically, it's not even a track I really enjoy driving that well, but I feel like my times in that track are always a lot quicker than I usually expect. So I didn't actually see if Singapore was on the calendar, but if it is, it's a race I'm looking forward to because I seem to consistently do well. Oh, sweet, awesome. But yeah, no, Singapore and Qatar and Baku are three tracks that I really, really look forward to. And I know a lot of people seem to not like them, which I can understand why, but I don't know. I think it's just the drama that happened in like 2017 that makes me love Baku so much. And
I think they're all on this season's calendar, aren't they, Jess?
Baku's next week. So you're going to have a lot of fun racing Baku. And the annoying thing, I'm missing Singapore. That's one of the tracks which I really love on this year's game, and I'm missing it, which I'm gutted. But one final question. Of course, at One Hub Racing, we use the adaptive weather system for each qualifying and race session, which we'll find out what it is in about 10-15 minutes' time. Would you want it to be dry, or would you want a sprinkle of rain at some point in the race?
For my comfortability, I definitely love it to be dry, but I enjoy this track in the wet, so I'm not opposed to it. I have setups for both. I'm hopefully pretty well prepared. So I'll hop in the practice race that's coming up soon.
So you prefer it to be dry, but you're prepared if it's wet. I like that attitude. At least I wish I could be as prepared as you for the wet. So we'll let you go. Of course, you will join us in about an hour and 45 minutes time for practice. So we'll let you have breakfast or whatever time zone you're on. I don't know, or morning food anyway, at least. But,
5:15 for me.
Oh, okay. So too early for breakfast then. So best of luck for your first race and One Hub, and we can't wait to watch you.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Cheers, Miles.
That was lovely to speak to Miles, of course, one of our P3 drivers, and we will speak to one of our P2 drivers in just a minute. But first of all, let's look at the P2 lineup for this one. We've still got one place to fill, but of course we're still looking for that currently from our waiting list. If you are looking to race at One Hub and you think you are P2 pace, join the waiting list and get some times in around Belgium. But Larkin got his first race win last week. He may be missing this week, which is very, very gutting for him. But Salo was so close again on picking out that race win, but it's just so close, but yet so far. If Larkin misses this week, I'm almost certain that I'm going to make my prediction here. Sorry, Salau, I know you're watching. I think Salau's going to take this race victory tonight in the P2 tier.
Yeah, it's funny. Every now and then you have these drivers who come along, and it sometimes takes them a while to get that first win, and Salu's one of them. But because he's such a popular driver within the community, when he does achieve it, the celebrations and the congratulations that will come flooding in won't just be from the P2 tier. So it's always nice when, you know, one of those types of drivers get their first win. You know, and there's lots of drivers who in this P2 tier could take that win tonight. So you know, it makes it even more satisfying when it does come.
Yeah, I think pretty much, I said this to Cole last week, pretty much almost half the grid, I feel, could get their first race win. And we only have 8 or so races to go. So not everyone, unfortunately, is going to get their first win potentially in One Hub Racing at all. So we have seen quite a few penalties in the P2 tier last time in terms of in-game. Of course, we only had one incident, and that was with the likes of Mikey and Waze. But when I was looking at their rivalries, Nick, for this one, both of them seemed to, well, Mikey at least, we don't know about Waze yet, but Mikey seems to be very respectable to his rival Waze, which means I think hopefully for him it's just a one-off, and we know it's a one-off because, of course, Mikey has been a part of our league now since the start, and he's usually a clean racer. So it's nice to see a respectful rivalry between Mikey and Waze already start to form. Hopefully there'll be some drama, but obviously not, Nick.
Yeah, I think, look, you know, Mikey's a great guy. You know, he's been in practice sessions. I've chatted to him. I think he's going to go really far. You know, this is his first season in One Hub, so, you know, finding the ropes is always going to be a challenge in itself, especially in the P2 tier, with it being so competitive. And I think last week, you know, both incidents, the other driver was penalised. So that should give him some comfort from the fact that, you know, he didn't do anything wrong. I think from what I've seen, you know, and I say this with someone with years of experience, is that perhaps maybe he's been a little too cautious with some of his driving. So maybe needs to get the elbows out a little bit more and show some aggression. But yeah, I'm excited to watch the P2 tier tonight.
We saw that with, I think, John for quite a lot of his time being here, and I think myself and Colin and quite a few drivers saying you need to be more aggressive, and then John in the P3 tier has been more aggressive. So it does take time. I started off as quite a conservative driver, and I'm feeling a bit more aggressive. And don't forget, it's his first league racing season, Mikey, so it will take him a while to adapt to the league racing environment and be comfortable on whether when you should go for a move and when not you don't go for a move. So I think with Mikey it won't take him that long. But of course his teammate Morgan Moggs, as we like to call him, he's another driver that can get his first race victory. It could be, I think it could be a battle between Solo and Morgan for the win tonight, with maybe Rich nipping at their heels. But again, they got to keep careful with their race penalties, because that's what let Rich down last week at least.
Yeah, and obviously poo on it is, isn't it, where you can often run wide and get those extended track warnings. So that'll be what drivers have to manage. But if I had to pick tonight, I can't remember exactly who's taking penalties, but Moki is really quick here, Mark's brother.
Yes.
So expect to see him up there. And then, I don't know, I just have this sneaky feeling that Salu's time has come.
I think Solo is going to get his first race victory. I'm like, come on. I'm like, if I don't get a good result, I just hope that Solo gets a good result as well. So there we go. So, and of course Moggs will finish P2, and I think Rich will get P3. But if Larkin ever shows up, I think he could do well. But of course we don't know who is taking engine penalties and who takes it. Well, we do know, but we're not going to tell you until we talked about all the tiers. We are going to invite one of our P drivers into the commentary box. And speaking of commentator, here he is. We got Mr. Iverspin Mike himself. Mike, how are you doing? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can everyone hear me fine?
Yeah, all good, Mike.
Okay.
And first of all, it's obviously not nice to race alongside you in the PTT. I really enjoy it every week. But how do you think your season has gone so far overall?
It has been an absolute stinker so far, I'm not going to lie. An absolute stinker. Obviously, there's Silverstone with the wheel issue, and obviously I had to miss race 3, which is out of my hands. But the races I've been at so far, I've definitely not maximised my potential in those races, so it's been a bit of an underperformance so far.
Yeah, it was a shame about Silverstone actually, because you were looking quite good in the practice in the wet, and it was unfortunate that you were having the wheel issue. But luckily, you fixed it. To be fair, of course, it's a much more difficult tier. You are expected, of course, fight against a lot of quick drivers. Where would you see your new goal would be in terms of the rest of the season now, you having a rubbish-free race? Because I'm almost certain that you can contend for quite a few top 5, even top 10 finishes if luck goes your way.
Well, I mean, my target coming into the season was to finish top 8 in the P2 Championship, and I still believe that is still possible. It's not over yet, so that's still my aim right now, top 8.
Top 8. I like that attitude there. And how's your teammate Welsh Benjamin, your camaraderie together? How have you found working with Welsh Benjamin?
It's been an absolute pleasure working with Ben again. We have teamed before in the past, many years ago, and we worked well as a team back then. We're working well as a team now. It's not been great results now for the pair of us, but hopefully, turns around tonight as we move on.
Of course, you also have a habit of spinning, the Iverspin Mike as your name, of course. Do you think you could try and avoid the spins tonight at Belgium? Because it's one of those tracks where we could see a lot of spinning.
Oof. I'm not sure. I think, I mean, Pouron can definitely cause me to spin a few times. I think at the exit of the bus stop chicane, they can spin out of that. I just want to hear J. Cole go one time on comms going 2 2 2 2. I was spin Mike.
I would love to hear it. So even if you spinning qualifying, how about that? that would be good. Nick, any questions?
Yeah, hello, Mike. Obviously, last season you were top tier, which was extremely competitive. But this season, obviously, you're in P2 again, another competitive grid. You mentioned you haven't maximised your results this season in terms of your pace. What track do you think coming up? Do you think you're really going to be able to kind of reach the potential that you believe you've got within you?
Historically, I've always gone very well at Baku, so I feel like that's a race, and it's obviously such a chaos circuit. You never know what can happen, but Baku is definitely one that I am eyeing up.
Awesome, and a street circuit, so plenty of safety cars, plenty of drama, hoping to take advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Take advantage of any front wings going off. Make sure you stay out the walls yourself. I think that as long as you stay out the wall in Baku, you're going to be fine.
Awesome. Well, best of luck tonight, Mike. Hoping you'll get a good result, and if you're not taking your engine penalty, take advantage in quali.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mike. Of course, we can't wait to hear him in the commentary box as well with P1 with his Welsh tone. So best of luck, Mike, for the P2 tier later on. Finally, of course, we couldn't finish this segment without talking about the P1 tier, and you got to feel bad for Alex last week. He was doing so well, but he just skimmed through the rules and forgot that he needed to two-stop. He's not going to be here tonight, of course, but it was just a shame that his pace was looking so good, but his strategy was just not good.
Yeah, I mean, Mark will kill me for saying this, but he definitely would have been up there to fight for the win without obviously missing the two-stop. And he messaged me straight after the race, and I said to him, because I send any drivers who join mid-season a bit of an intro message, and I had to show him, just scroll up, and it's in there. So yeah, unlucky from him, but he's got to take confidence from the fact that he had incredible pace, and ultimately he'll be able to show that over the coming weeks. As some of the other drivers with Casper and Ben missing tonight. And obviously Alex now as well.
No, Callum and Ben missing tonight.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Callum and Ben's missing tonight. So it's really open, and I know Mark's been sweating all week, so
He has.
I'm sure he's planning to make up for last week. So let's just hope he remembers the speed limit.
Yes, please, Mark, because I predicted you last week in this very talk show that you were going to win and you got a penalty. So this is the reason why I'm not going to predict you for the race win this time. So I think it is just Callum and Ben that are missing tonight. Everyone else we are expected to be here. Of course, Axelot doing quite well. Chris making some great overtakes last week, like we covered in the Stewards Room stream last week, because the Aston Martin climbed their way in the constructors. If I was to pick a driver that could challenge the likes of Axelot and Casper and Kieran and all that, I think Marco could be one of those drivers. With a few drivers missing tonight, Marco could be one of those drivers that could pick up his second win. He's just been very unlucky with the penalties, of course, that he missed out, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't forget Coley as well.
Yes.
He's obviously a really quick driver. Colin, expect to see him, Owen, possibly if he's back this week.
He should be.
Furious showed some good pace in practice. So it's such a competitive tier. J. Cole, if he can drive cleanly this week. But all to play for in P1 tier, and as we expect, it's hugely competitive.
I think quite a few drivers on this list I think would do potentially well around there. Coley being one of them, of course. J. Cole definitely. But if I was to pick someone, I'm gonna stick with my guns, and I am actually gonna go with Marco. I'm hoping that we could see the two Kick Saubers do well tonight. Of course, I don't think Owen was here last week. I want him to see him do well. Of course, the two Alpines near the bottom of the championship, I want them to see them do well as well. But who is your pick for the win in the P1 tier? You gonna go with Marco? Or you gonna go with someone else?
I'm going to go with Axelot. I think that last week he had the pace to win, made that mistake, and I don't think he'll be making that mistake again. But
no, he won't.
Is looking hugely competitive. So I'll go with Axelot, and I'll be happy.
I was hoping you wouldn't go with Axelot, because he's probably going to end up getting a penalty now for speeding in the pit lane. But if the jinx is not real, then at least I'm the one that jinxed him last week, and I don't need to keep it on predicting. So there we go. That was our discussions on all three tiers. We're now going to be looking at the engine and gearbox penalties. We would go through Stewards results, but if you want to find out about that, check out the Inside the Stewards Room stream, which is live on our YouTube channel for you to have a look at, and of course read our Stewards briefing. So I'll go through P1 and P3, and Nick will go through P2. So for P1, we've got 5 drivers taking car wear penalties of some kind. For engine, we have Colin, as Colin briefly mentioned in the Stewards Room stream, but we also got Luke, also taking his engine. Gearbox penalties, we have got Casper, J. Cole, and Robites. We've got 5 drivers taking penalties there. Nick, do you want to go through P2 tier?
Yes, we do. So, Jess, obviously, you're taking an engine penalty. So that'll be you done. You've already taken your gearbox, so that'll be you done season. You got Moki taking an engine penalty, Mikey taking an engine penalty, Larkin if he obviously is able to race, Salou and Proverb. So all those drivers will be getting a 10-place grid penalty for a new engine. And gearbox, you've got Waste taking a new gearbox, so he'll be getting a 5-place grid penalty, as well as Catherine and Lawrence. And both of those drivers have already taken an engine, so they're getting a new gearbox this week. And as long as they obviously don't have some DNFs where they get double the car wear on those parts, they'll be able to go to the end of the season.
Yep. So, and of course, Casper has done his first of his car parts last week, so he doesn't have to do any more as well. So that was for P1. But for P3, we have got 8 drivers taking car wear. Actually, no, not 8 drivers, 7 drivers taking car wear penalties. We'll start with the engines. So taking their first car wear penalties, and the first lot being engine, is Jamie, Damien, and Rydog. And people taking their gearbox penalties are Burjax, John, Jacob and Gazaman has already done his engine, I believe, last week. So as long as he doesn't DNF at all for the rest of the season, late on into the race, then he will be fine and he doesn't have to take any more penalties. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. So if you're in P2 and not got a car wear penalty at one kind, or if you don't have a car wear penalty at all, there's a lot more pressure for you to deliver in qualifying, because if you still do rubbish and the one who's starting with a gearbox or engine penalty still will start behind you, it's not going to be good, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that, yes, this is a track which generally has opportunities to overtake. You've obviously got the long straights, the long DRS zones with heavy braking zones afterwards, Jess. But, John, as wise as he always is, made a very good point that there aren't that many laps. There's only 22 laps here, so that's only 22 DRS zones down the Kemmel Straight, whereas other tracks, like, say, Austria, you get, 38 chances to overtake. So, drivers need to, they can't waste any time. They've got to try and pick their way through the field if they're taking a car apart. And perhaps hope that a safety car can close the gap if they've lost it. But I think strategy here is going to be really interesting, Jess, because all three tyres are going to be used. I think drivers are going to at some point put a set of each on. So the strategy is going to be really mixed up. Will we see any early safety cars? How will that change the strategy? I'd say this is probably so far the most exciting race in terms of strategy. Because the tyres are really going to be they're going to be all different up and down the field, so it's going to be about who gets it right.
I agree, because when I was looking at strategies in tyre wear, there's multiple strategies people can go on, and I've listed them, and it was about 5 or 6. So literally there could be 5 or 6 different strategies on the grid, and we could see a 2-stop race. So there we go. So that was the engine wear, and we got one final thing to do before we wrap up. Of course, the thing that we always like to do at One Hub Racing is the adaptive weather. What will the weather be this week? Quite a lot of drivers want it dry, quite a few drivers want it wet. Can you explain to us, Nick, for those of the people new to One Hub Racing, in particular our new drivers such as Miles, on how this adaptive weather system works?
Yeah, so it's an idea I had a few seasons ago. Basically, I don't think many drivers enjoy practicing all week and then turning up on race day and getting into the session and seeing that the race is full wet, because they're not as exciting for the commentators, they're not as exciting for the drivers. Don't get as much overtaking, no DRS obviously, so they can often be a bit disappointing. So my idea was to create a set of weather conditions where if it does rain in the race, then it will be mixed conditions, so it might rain then go dry then rain again. And basically we created, I think it is 20 sets of conditions for quali and 20 sets of conditions for race. And then each week we spin the wheel, whatever is selected will be for that race, and then that option won't be able to be selected by the wheel anymore. So yeah, it's a good system to get some wet weather in, but limit it slightly, and also make sure that it's not just fully wet. So there's a set 20 options for the qualifying. Obviously 4 of those have already been chalked off, and then there's a set of conditions options for the race, and 4 of those have been chalked off. But just excited to see, and I think it's exciting for everyone for it to be announced on race day, so everyone has the same amount of time to practice these conditions
instead of me finding out the day before.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope the race is dry.
I'm going to put my hopes in quickly before we carry on. I'm hoping for a wet quali, dry race. We've got a mixture of the both. So there we go. Well, without further ado, because we got places to be, let's reveal what's it going to be for qualifying. And it's going to be mixed conditions, Nick. Wet to clear for qualifying. So are we going to see drivers possibly... They got to use their gut instinct on when they should go out for their final runs, because we saw that last season, didn't we, in Belgium, where it wasn't dry enough, but it got really dry very quickly. So I wonder if we're going to see the same here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's so exciting about, this adaptive weather system is because it's set to approximate, drivers can practice a short quality of wet to clear as much as they want, but every single session will be different. So it's going to be all about the first bit of qualifying might be a bit quiet for the commentators, track might be a bit empty, but my goodness, towards the end of the session, it's going to be hectic out there. You're going to want to cross the line at the last possible point, and being such a long track, there's going to be some shuffling for position. That's exciting, Jess. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as well. So I wanted a wet affected qualifying, and we are going to get a wet affected qualifying, and that means that's 2 sessions when it wet affected qualifying, which means we can only have 2 more this season before it becomes dry again. But now we move on to the race. What are you hoping for the race, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, Spa is such a great track. I'd love for it to be dry. Obviously, overcast is fine, but I'd be disappointed to see some rain. But ultimately, we're all in the same boat. Pardon the pun. So
I get that pun. I get that pun because you don't want to be a boat on the straight, as I said in the hot lap. Anyway, the race weather is the following. Is it going to be dry or is it going to be wet? It is going to be wet to overcast to wet. Oh. Get your bullies out, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going to have some rain at Belgium. That's to be expected, isn't it? But at least it gets the rain-affected sessions out of the way. We only got 2 more after this. What do you think?
I don't know what to say, Jess. I don't know what to say.
So I'm guessing you're not happy. I'm not happy either. So that's both of us. So
I enjoy driving in the wet. I just, unfortunately, my pace just disappears, and it's only happened since I've turned traction and gone manual gears. Before that, I would be as quick in the wet as I was in the dry in comparison to other drivers. Whereas, I don't know. Ever since I turned those 2 settings off, I just really struggle. But doesn't mean to say, as I say, I still enjoy it. It's a great challenge, and on this game, it's better. But for me personally, the pace is tricky. Hopefully, my teammate can do well because he's such a goat.
he likes the rain, Cole, so I would expect him to do well as well. And I think Lukey, was hoping it was going to rain as well because he did well at Silverstone. So I'm going to keep my eye on Lukey in this race. Mikey was just saying in the chat, I'll PayPal you after this. and he was quite happy with that. And Mike was saying that the Ivor Spin Mike is more than likely going to be happening now. But we are going to end this show there. Well, first of all,
Jess, can I just add, sorry, for all those drivers who have taken penalties,
good luck.
That's not going to be good for them, that weather, because they'll struggle a bit more to overtake. Obviously, there won't be DRS, so
engine penalties in particular.
Are going to be wincing at that adaptive weather result, but hey ho.
I think the ones who haven't taken their engine penalty are probably going to be very relieved, which is probably why quite a few drivers in the chat are going to do well. But yes, we are going to wrap this up. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, thank you to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, now providing a lot of pride this season. We got a discount code with Sim Racing Setup. If you want to get a wet affected setup for tonight, I recommend you sort that out now before we practice later on. Of course, we got Pure Sim Gear that are providing gloves or socks to the Speedster Award. We also got a discount code for them as well. We also got our partners, Vespa Team. They're in the chat. They support our merchandise and, of course, help with the payment system this season. And finally, to our partners at SimGrid. Without SimGrid, we'll have loads of forms to fill out and it'll be an absolute nightmare. So, Nick, any final thoughts before we wrap up and everyone having some food?
No, there'll be a practice session at 2:00, so I've got to go food shopping with the other half, and then I'll be back to host the practice session Yeah, rain tonight, so I'm sure all the drivers are going to be keen to try and get some laps in these conditions. But of course, Jess, it's on approximate, so we've seen it earlier on in the season that it's going to change from tier to tier. And Colin and I in P1 in Silverstone got it completely wrong.
I got
Even
it wrong
though,
as well.
we thought we were in a so it throws even the most experienced drivers off. But yeah, I think tonight is shaping up to be the race of the season in terms of engine penalties, in terms of wear, in terms of new drivers in the P3 tier, P2 tier, insanely competitive.
P2 loads of engine penalties.
Yeah, it's going to be a standout race in my opinion tonight.
And if you want to watch us, well, the first stream is on at 4:30 with Nick and Colin. Then we got 6 p.m. for the P2 tier with J. Cole and Jamie, and myself and Mike will be covering P1 tier. So thank you all for watching. Go and have some lunch. And for those of you that want to practice later on, we will see you at 2 o'clock for the practice session. But for those of you that are not around for that, good luck in your races later on, and we will see you all very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.